Hi, my name is James Orvis, and today we're going to look at how to create the classic Pluck bass sound, which is very popular in progressive house tracks. And I've got an example here from around 10 years ago. Some of you might know this one. It was a very, very famous track when it came out, which is by Cirez D, which was called On Off. And I'll just quickly play you a little clip of this. Just listen out for the bass sound. So it's that kind of just 16th kind of stabby bass sound, which is a very, very simple sound. And I'm going to show you the basics of how to create it. It's really, really easy to make. And then just to kind of like add some extras in, we'll look at different variations that you can do with it and how you can open up the modulations and stuff. And we'll also look at processing as well. So here I've just put in a simple pattern. Just the 16th, and instead of creating short notes like this, which you would expect to go for when creating a sound, we've created long ones, so it gives us more option when opening things like the decay of the synth, to open up the release, to kind of open up the notes on builds and things like that. So we're going to be using UHE's Diva, and I've just initialized this preset, and we're just going to work with one oscillator. So we'll open up oscillator 1. And let me just collapse these a second. Yeah, that's okay actually. So yeah, we're going to open up oscillator 1, and we're just going to use a sawtooth, and we're going to bring the range down to 16, so it's the octave down. And let's just have a quick listen to this, see where we're at. So the first thing we're going to do is bring down the cutoff, and we're going to open up the envelope. And by the way, I've just brought in a kick drum as well, just to kind of give us some reference to the pluck and where it's sitting. And what we're going to do actually to start with straight away is put on this compressor at the bottom. So it's a sidechain compressor compressing to the kick. Because we're using 16th notes, the click of this bass sound and also the bass notes as well will clash a lot with the kick. So using a sidechain for this is a really, really good way to get it out of the way. So we'll stick that on. It sounds a lot more pleasant with that on. So yeah, we've got that on, and what we're going to do is we're going to use envelope 2, which is this one here, bring the sustain all the way down, and then we're going to dial in the decay to taste. So let's just play around with that. So we've already got our basic pluck sound, and we're also going to play around with envelope 1 as well. So we'll bring the sustain down on here, and we can also control the decay on this as well to get a much sharper sound. One thing you can do is you can open up this decay, so it will give us like longer notes like this. So with that decay open, you've got that constant bed underneath, which is not the main part of the sound. It just sounds like an extra kind of tone underneath, which keeps that bass tone rolling, rather than just cutting it off completely and having it really stabby. Obviously, these parameters, you can dial these into taste, and you can also change them over the course of your track as well. So I've noticed in the Cirez D track, as the track progresses, the cutoff opens, and also some of the decay opens as well. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what that sounds like when you start to open the cutoff. So you can really, really play around with that as the track progresses. And then also we've got the resonance as well. I tend to leave this off, but you can add it in. But with this Moog style ladder filter, you do lose some of the subtones when you start to bring up the resonance. So I'm just going to leave it down on this one. And we're going to move on to the mixer section as well. So you can add in a bit of noise as well, or you could bring this in when the cutoff opens. So yeah, that'll just give you a bit more kind of drama and stuff when you open the cutoff. And we can thicken this up as well. I kind of like it with just one oscillator, but we can bring in a second oscillator, like a sub oscillator, and we can use a triangle or sawtooth. So let's flick through these and see what works. Probably won't go all the way up with the volume, just maybe bring it in to where it feels right. So yeah, I kind of like it around here, and then just leaving it on sawtooth as well. So you don't want it too overbearing because obviously it's clashing with the kick as well. And we could leave that out completely, and you could create your own sub pattern as well, which is separate from this in between the kicks. And you can add like a third oscillator in as well. We can go and add in a higher octave oscillator. Or we could add that in as a seventh. So let's put it on 19 on there, around there. So yeah, now we're getting there. We've got quite a nice sound going. I was going to leave it as one single oscillator, but I kind of like that. It's really nice. So earlier when I was messing around, maybe I put up these oscillators up maybe too high. You want this top one to be like the main oscillator, and these are just kind of backing it up a little bit, just to add a bit more interest and layers to the original oscillator. So there you go. There's fairly easy and simple sound to make. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to add some processing to make it sound nicer as well. So let's go ahead and do that. And I've got this chain that I tend to use quite a lot on sounds like this, but we're going to manipulate it a little bit and maybe change some of the settings, like add a delay in there as well. So we're going to start off with the virtual tape and also the virtual channel as well, just to emulate that kind of analog sound. So we've just added in a little bit, use this rock bass preset as a starting point, because the rock bass preset on this compressor gives you a bit of punchiness at the beginning. So it's got like a slower release, so it lets the transients pop through, and just kind of nudging it just a little bit, just to emphasize the pluck there a little bit. So yeah, we've got a bit of saturation, bit of compression going on. I've got Saturn turned on here as well. So let's go through this and see what options we've got with this. Let me just A/B these quickly, because I think we might be saturating it a little bit too much. Yeah, maybe we should turn this down a little bit. So if I take this link off here, bring that down. That's better. I think it was going too hard, too hot into the virtual channel and saturating it a little bit too much. So, I mean, that sounds a bit counterproductive, because we're actually going to add a bit more saturation here. So let's just flick through some of these Audiotent presets and see what we can get out of this. Maybe we'll go for the saturation settings. I'm just going to flick through the presets. let's try the bass ones. Oh, I like that. I don't know if it's really fit into the progressive sound, but I really do like that. It's a bit too aggressive. Maybe we'll go for deep analog bass, and then I'll just level out the tonal balance using some visual aid as well from FabFilter's Pro Q2. And what I'm going to do is just open up the filter, and we're just going to kind of balance it off a little bit. So if there's any inconsistencies across this line, I might just nudge these up or bring them down. Probably best to turn the kick off. Yeah, that works for me. So let's just A/B that. I'm just going to bring this filter back down. Yep, I like that. I just brought the sub down a little bit there. It was a bit too heavy with the sub. So next we're just going to look at taking off that low sub end content. Works nicely. And then we're going to add some reverb. So I've got this bass plate reverb set up here. So what I've done here is just filtered out the signal before it goes into the reverb, and then we've got this bass plate set up with a short decay which sounds like this. So I just brought the gain down of the reverb a little bit, just to kind of level it off a bit better. We've also shortened the decay a little bit more on the reverb as well, so it's not as prominent. I think it works well with a shorter decay, because obviously we're going for like short pluck sound. And what I might do now actually is maybe we'll add some delay as well. So let's go into the delays. I'll probably use the repeater. I really like this. Find it really quick and easy to use as well. So we'll go ahead, we'll leave that on fully wet, we'll bring the volume down a little bit. So I'm just going to play around with these delay settings till I find something that really works well with this 16 pattern. So yeah, I found something that works really well. So we've got it on 1/8 dots, and then we've brought the feedback down a little bit, and we've high passed it here, dampened the sound a little bit. And we've also put like the tape delay mode into tape modern, which is really nice. And then we've switched this to analog button on as well, so it has a bit more movement and it's a bit inconsistent, like a real tape. And then that's set into ping pong mode as well. So this is the end result of that. Just a little touch, just to add a little bit more in the stereo width. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to use Brainworx BX Control V2, just to make the bottom end mono as well. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll just add this in. So now we've got the processing and the effects set up, and it's sounding quite nice. What I'm going to do is going to go back to the synth and just play around with some of those modulations that we touched upon earlier, because it should work really nicely with like the delay and the reverb now, and give you a bit more context. And also these are parameters that I would recommend automating as well in the track if you're going to use this kind of sound. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do that, and just keep an eye on what I'm doing and take note of those parameters, and those should be quite cool ones to play around with when recording your track and automating it. So we've just made a progressive house Pluck sound influenced by the likes of Cirez D and people like Sasha and Digweed. I hope this has been really useful and give you an insight into how you can design your own Pluck sounds and modulate them within your tracks, and also how to process them as well. And next, I'd like to know, do you create your own Pluck sounds? Have you got any instruments, VSTs that are really, really good for this job? Any effects that you love to use? Please let us know in the comment section below. And if there's any sounds which you'd like us to recreate, let us know and we'll work towards getting those out too. Thank you for watching. My name is James Orvis, and I will catch you next time.